What we try to do is to convene researchers and policymakers to help and design and coordinate timely, relevant, and actionable research to end chronic homelessness in LA County. Our goals are fourfold: to foster collaboration and coordination among researchers who do investigate homelessness and its causes and consequences in the LA region. We want to translate research to policymakers and community partners who inform their practice, to conduct rapid response policy research to inform policy and program design, and to assist in developing and coordinating requests for proposals and research in homelessness relevant to Los Angeles.
Some people talk about universal prevention, which is addressing the social conditions that produce homelessness. So these are sort of the broad societal infrastructure that might drive people into poverty and homelessness. When we talk about prevention, we're really talking about targeted prevention, and these are programs that are designed to address people who are at very high risk of becoming homeless. The program should be designed to create housing stability for these people who are at high risk. It should be efficient, meaning it should be given to the people who are at highest risk of becoming homeless. And then when you evaluate whether it's effective or not, you should be able to observe at the community level that you're reducing inflows into homelessness. You're not just pushing the problem down farther. We decided to predict two different outcomes. One is any new homeless spell, and the other is a first-time homeless spell. What the model is doing is it's looking at these features. We have about, I think, 900 plus that are feeding into these models. And then it generates what we call a risk list, and it rank orders the people on the list. And then we cut the list at various sizes, and we look at two things. One is how many people on the list that we generated were actually homeless. The second question we ask is, if you took that size list, given the precision, how much of the problem are you solving? So how many of the homeless people did you capture with the list? What we're trying to do in this phase of the work is start to cut that long list of risk factors into the smallest number possible without losing model accuracy. We do see Department of Health Services, mental health, sheriff, and probation consistently in the top 20 features selected by the model. It seems to be very important when one client seeks multiple types of services from one agency. We could use this information to proactively go out and find people who are at risk for homelessness, who are not going to self-identify to the system, and who are not attached to the system. This could actually be important for actually reducing overall inflows if we can find how to get to the people who are at high risk, who are not already attached. We can start to detect the outcomes in the health and mental health and criminal justice system for housing interventions. So we're often really focused on, does this housing intervention create housing stability for a person? But now we can also look at, is it making them healthier? Is it reducing their mental health service utilization? Is it reducing their returns to the jail system?
The key here is, of course, that you want to have a good prediction that is independent of the particular statistical approach you're taking, right? Because you're taking a bunch of information that has, substantive information on the risk of homelessness, and you try to combine it to the event of homelessness in the best possible way. One thing we're doing now with the agencies that are represented in the ELP, to have a conversation of, well, now that you have the risk list, how would you implement it? And once you've isolated the people, what programs could you bring to bear, and also evaluate to see which ones are most effective.
We're sort of thinking strategically about what might be a prevention type resource. There's critical time intervention, which has been tried in LA County, which is evidence-based for that population. And there's also sort of pockets of funding, for example, rapid rehousing slots at probation that could be leveraged, or connecting with the whole person care teams and some of their outreach strategies. So we're trying to map out what would be an appropriate intervention for someone who isn't literally homeless, but who's very high risk.
We've merged the HMIS data with earnings records from the state. And one thing that comes out of that analysis is that there's a group of people who have never had covered employment. And then there's a group of people who had, and that group remains employed with a relatively high rate throughout episodes of homelessness. Meaning there is sort of an employment angle here that really matters, that is almost completely absent from the ELP.